Well, the goal for West Virginia obviously was to defend home court and to get that winning streak at home to 16 straight games. And, well, they found a way. It wasn't pretty. Made you nervous, made you bite your nails a little bit. But the Mountaineers get it done over K-State, 59-54 at home at the Coliseum. And we're going to have you covered in this post-game reaction episode of Mountaineer Moment. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Mountaineer Moment. My name's Troy. I am your host here on Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. It's a cold, snowy one in Morgantown, obviously, and I pulled out the gold and blue beanie for it. If you can, I just want to see if anybody knows. I don't have anything to give away because I don't have anything to give you. But if you on YouTube, if you're watching, if you can name the Mountaineer football game, I'll give you a hint. It was a time when West Virginia football was relevant, nationally, when they gave out these beanies at the game. It was a big one in Big 12 play. See if you can name that one. A few years back when the Mountaineers were again in the national conversation, if you will. So got the beanie on. It's a cold one, but Mountaineers get it done in front of a home crowd. One thing that they've obviously enjoyed so far this season, extending that winning streak. They're perfect there this season, and they're perfect through Big 12 play, obviously at home as well. So big win, an ugly win, one that you weren't sure they were going to get at times, one that you thought they were maybe could cruise away after, getting down in the first half and then jumping out to a lead in the late first half. Then K-State cuts it to 6 at halftime, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know how I feel about that because PJ Haggerty hasn't scored the basketball yet. He's going to come out with a good second half, and he did. Almost proved to be too much for West Virginia to handle, but West Virginia gets the job done, and we're going to break it down here in full length here on this episode of Mountaineer Moment. We'll talk about the first half, the second half, what this win means for the Mountaineers. But first thing first, if you are new to the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're trying our best to grow this Mountaineer Moment community, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. A couple of videos lately have done really well, and super thankful, super grateful for you tuning in yet again here to Mountaineer Moment. So hit that subscribe button for us, and that'll keep you in the know when we have new content coming your way. If you're new to the show, especially through basketball season, what we've been doing every single game. Obviously, Mountaineers are 21 games into this season. That just seems like it started yesterday. 14-7 and 5-3 in the Big 12. And what we've done every step of the way is give you pregame coverage, a breakdown of the opponent, and then a post-game reaction and analysis as quickly as we possibly can post-game. This one's coming, about 25 seconds after the game went final in Morgantown. So that's what we like to do to get that content out to you as soon as we can. So we'll start at the beginning. First half, I would characterize it by, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see on the outline, well, it was bad offense from West Virginia, like really, really bad offense, but really good defense that led them to have a 28-22 lead at halftime. There was a stretch where, Kansas State jumped out. I should say they crawled out because it's not like their offense was, going off, but West Virginia's offense was stuck. Mountaineers didn't score their first bucket until about 6 minutes had expired. It was 7-0 until they got their first bucket, and then there was a stretch. It was 13-5, and Kansas State was stuck on 13 points for a very long time. From the 11-minute mark till the 6-minute, 22nd mark of the first half, Kansas State had 13 points, which is what allowed West Virginia to get back into the game. I mentioned earlier, West Virginia did end up having a 28-18 point lead in that first half with a minute or two to go, and then K-State had back-to-back buckets that were big. One at the buzzer, coming from David Castillo, had a big game in this one to cut that to a 28-22 point game. Now, coming into halftime, right? I'm not in the locker room for West Virginia, but obviously one of the bright spots, but also simultaneously being a concern, is that PJ Haggerty, the team's leading scorer, like Big 12's leading scorer, averaging 23-plus points a game, was scoreless. He was off. He was 0 for 7. And that's a great thing. You had played really good defense on him. You made him uncomfortable. You made him go 0 for 7 from the floor. Good job. at the same time, that's a cause for concern because you only have a 6-point lead. And that's how bad this West Virginia offense was at times for the majority, I should say, of that first half. They were bailed out by, not bailed out, but, Honor Huff helped them a lot by knocking down 4 threes, toward the end of that second half. And Chance Moore did a couple nice things as well in that first half. And, then they go into the halftime with a lead. And the second half was obviously closely contested, back and forth game, a 2-point game, a 4-point game, the whole way, really. And then Mountaineers went very, very cold, went on a pretty significant scoring drought where they were stuck on 45 points, and I'll just tell you how long that was if you give me just a moment. So West Virginia got to 45, and they were up by 4, 45-41 with just over 10 minutes to play. And then West Virginia was then, you should see this box score, or this game play-by-play thing. West Virginia was stuck on 45 until 3 minutes and 17 seconds. So 7-minute scoring drought. But the good news was, I mentioned it was 45-41. Well, when they finally scored again, when they finally scored again, it was 49-47 in favor of K-State. So all that time from up 4 to down 4 with a 7-minute scoring drought where you were just stuck on 45. There was bad offense, there was turnovers, there was miscommunications, there was a lid on the basket at times, right? It felt like Huff couldn't do much in the second half. Eagle staff couldn't get going, and you couldn't score the basketball. You just flat out could not score the basketball. And then, because it was such a close game, we don't often do this as far as we break down the performance, but then Eagle staff gets an offensive rebound and puts it back in to make it 49-47. Then Eagle staff, off a pass from Belo, makes it 50-49 with a wing triple with 2 minutes left to play to give West Virginia the lead, and then they did not relinquish from there. Mountaineers got a steal. Chance Moore made one of the 2 free throws, extended that lead to 51. And then it was an Honor Huff 3, 54-49 Mountaineers lead with 1 minute and 11 seconds left to play. So once Mountaineers got that lid off the basket, well, there was a lid on K-State's basket for a little bit. PJ Haggerty did a couple things to make it interesting, made a 3 right after Honor Huff's 3 with just a minute to go to make it a 2-point game. Eagle staff again got a layup. Eagle staff it was an and one, made a free throw. And then it ended up Honor Huff made a couple free throws down the stretch after a Haggerty missed 3 to tie it with 10 seconds left. And there's your ball game, 59-54 in favor of the Mountaineers, who again improved to 14-7 and 5-3 in Big 12 play. And this was one that you really, again, big picture kind of thing. If you're thinking March at all, this was one you wanted to get. You had to get, you could almost say. Really, really important win for West Virginia. And again, at times in that second half, you were starting to think it won't go happen. And fortunately, it did. Mountaineers get the job done, 59-54 over K-State. And so just to look at the box score real quick for West Virginia. I mentioned Honor Huff, big first half, big second half of the first half. 17 points, 5 of 12 from 3. Again, 4 of those came in the first half. Trayson Eaglestaff, mentioned his name a lot down the stretch, including 1 big 3 down the stretch, 1 of 6 to give West Virginia the lead. That 3 came at the right time. He finished with 12 points and 9 rebounds, almost a double-double for Eaglestaff. Belo, 10 points, 6 boards, 2 assists in this one. Jasper Floyd, 4 points, 5 boards, 5 assists. Did a really good job on PJ Haggerty in the first half especially. Harlan Obioha, 2 points, couple rebounds. Chance Moore, 9 points off the bench. Amir Jenkins, 3 points, 2 boards, including 1 3 for him. That was big in the second half. And DJ Thomas, a couple points, 0 of 2 from downtown. K-State, obviously, injury-riddled team. They had 3 guys in the starting lineup in double figures. Haggerty, 16, all in the second half. Nate Johnson, 13. David Castillo with 15. They shot at 38% from the floor, 32% from 3. Mountaineers just 29% from 3, 7 of 24, and 42% from the field. Not a lot of free throws in this one. K-State only got to the line 4 times, made all 4 of them. West Virginia 9 free throw attempts and made 6. A lot of those even, again, down the stretch when K-State was trailing and had to foul. So just as far as big picture is concerned, this was a K-State team that comes into Morgantown sitting at 1-6 in Big 12 play and 10-10. And, on paper, it's like you have to go and win this game. They got a lot of injuries. You're at home. You haven't lost at home this season. But one of the things, to me personally, I didn't get anybody disagreeing with me in the comments, I don't think. But one of the things I said coming into this game is, a lot of people would react to this game if Mountaineers lost, would say, oh, like the sky is falling because you lost to K-State at home. And I would disagree with that, although if you lost to K-State at home, I think the sky might be falling because of what you've set yourself up to be in the position that you're at, right? This is a game, if you want to make March Madness, and again, they're a long way away from that. They've got a lot of work to do, obviously, meaning this is one you had to have, essentially. And, I've said it a lot. In the non-conference, West Virginia did themselves 0 favors, right? 0 favors. They didn't beat anybody in non-conference. So every win you've had, since then in the Big 12, right? You've beaten a Kansas team, which is a ranked win over a good team. You beat Cincinnati, you beat Colorado, you beat Arizona State, you beat Kansas State. None of those teams are, doing particularly well in the Big 12 standings. Cincinnati's 2-5, Arizona State's 2-6, Kansas State now 1-7. Kansas is 5-2. That proved to be a good win. Colorado's 2-5. And so you're beating the teams that you're supposed to beat, quote unquote, but your resume's not that impressive. You got a 1 ranked win over Kansas, and the other ones are games you're supposed to win. And so that's just my 2 cents on it. It makes it all the more important that you win these games, but here's another way of explaining it. To put yourself in position that West Virginia is in, where it's you must, maybe you have to. Maybe you literally have to win every game at home during Big 12 play. Mountaineers have never done that, right? Not with Javon Carter and Daxter Miles. Not with Javon Small, not with Jawan State, and not, with any of those teams, back in the day. And that's a really tall task to ask for this team, first-year head coach and a whole new roster, to say you got to go unbeaten in conference play at home to make March Madness, right? That's a really lofty goal. Unfortunately, that's where they've put themselves in close to being there, right? And so that's why a loss to Kansas State, a loss to Baylor coming up on Saturday would be pretty detrimental to this team because of how dependent upon winning at home they have become because of, what has transpired so far this season leading up to this moment. So, again, all that aside, Mountaineers win. And you play to win the game, and you played to defend home court yet again, and you did just that against Kansas State. Final in Morgantown, 59-54. As the Mountaineers improve to 5-3 in conference, we know obviously the story in Big 12 play. Arizona, Texas Tech, Houston, Iowa State, BYU, and Kansas among the top dogs up there. The top 6 teams sitting at 5-2, 6-1, or 8-0 for Arizona, who's 21-0 overall. We saw that in full form on Saturday afternoon in Tucson. And then UCF, don't look now, but they're 5-3 in conference play, tied with West Virginia. And then there's a significant, kind of gap. TCU, Oklahoma State, Colorado, Cincinnati, Arizona State, Baylor, Utah, and Kansas State sitting at 3-4, 2-5, 1-6, or 1-7 so far this season. So big picture, Mountaineers got an upcoming game at home again, another opportunity to extend that winning streak against the Baylor Bears, who we just mentioned are sitting at 1-6 in conference play, 11-8 so far this season. Before Baylor plays in Morgantown, they will be in Cincinnati on Wednesday night. Maybe when many of you are recording this, or watching this recording or listening to this, Baylor at Cincinnati on Wednesday night. So keep an eye on that one. And then they're heading over to Morgantown, crossing over the border into West Virginia, where they'll see the Mountaineers. So another opportunity, right? My goodness, I think either Skylar Callahan or Ethan Bach, or maybe both of them, and it's not like the most incredibly amazing take ever, but think about this. If West Virginia can win that game, take care of business at home yet again, you can only beat you can only play who's on your schedule and play who's in front of you. But if they do that, that would mean they get to 6-3 in conference play, and that would mean that their three losses came against Iowa State on the road, Houston on the road, and almost said Cincinnati, and Arizona. Sorry. Iowa State, Houston, and Arizona on the road would be your three conference losses, and that is not a bad schedule for anybody, or not a bad look at all. So that would be amazing. That would be great. And then obviously West Virginia will be hitting the road after that, but another important game, and it's important because of how you've positioned yourself, right? There's a lot of pressure on that game as we inch closer toward February, and we know what month comes after that. As you get to that game, Mountaineers now got 14 wins, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games left on their schedule. Is this a 20-win team? Is it an 18-win team? Is it a 19-win team? What's the magic number for the madness? I don't know. But if you beat Baylor, you get to 15 wins, and you get to 6-3, and then you got Cincinnati and Texas Tech the following week. Cincinnati on the road and at home against, obviously, a really, really talented Texas Tech team, which should be a rockin' Coliseum on Super Bowl Sunday in the afternoon, February 8th. So be tuned in for that one. But that's a ways away. We got to take care of business against Baylor. Again, as I just said a few moments ago, we're going to have you covered pregame, give you what you need to know for the Baylor matchup, what West Virginia is going to be looking at, and how they can, maybe some keys to victory in that one, how they can get to win number 15 on the season, get to 15-7, get to 6-3 in conference. And again, that'd be pretty good considering what they've played and who they've lost to. So, all right, that's it for episode 137. We will see you next time on Mountaineer Moment. Let's go Mountaineers.